What's up, Leo? How y'all doing this morning? It's bonus time. We're going to go ahead and knock out your bonus reading for February 2026. When I do bonus readings, what it is that I am looking for is details, situations, or scenarios that did not make it into the first round of monthly readings. If any of you are in need of a personal reading, all the information is in the description of this video. All right, let's jump into this. I want to start this off with your love interest. We'll see if I left out any details, or hell, we'll see if timelines have changed. I was telling the other signs earlier, if you've been with me for a while here on YouTube, you may remember that used to I did a whole separate round of readings to check and see if timelines changed, but we can just lump it in with the bonus readings. Why not, you know? All right, let's see if there's anything else we can tell Leo, the single Leos, about their love interest. Poor communication. I almost want to say you may suspect that they're lying about something. I don't know if I want to lean all the way into that energy yet. But yeah, man. Okay. Yeah, communication's terrible, honestly. I think this person does more sitting around and watching you than they do actually communicating with you. You know, it's like they communicate poorly, but they sit around and watch you on social media, dig through your social media, read through your comments and try to see what you got going on in your life. Rather, you know what I'm saying? That, understand that energy? But the Knight of Wands is the overall energy. Now, I do think this person does have feelings for you. They do. But Knight of Wands is not the most immature character in the tarot, but a couple steps up from it, Now, the last two signs, I had to tell them the same thing. Every time I read a new connection or potential new connection, past energy comes through. That doesn't feel the heaviest though, just because the Three of Swords is in the reversed. So I'm not going to lean too far into that right now, at least. But there is still some past energy. They do have feelings for you. I just don't know if they're mature enough to express those feelings. I don't know if they really know how to express their feelings. And you have to understand how important this is. I was just telling, I think, Cancer, when somebody's not mature enough, it's really easy to confuse intentions with potential. Oh, there's a lot of people right now who have been in a relationship for a long time because they're confusing the person's intentions for potential. It doesn't matter what your intentions are. If you're not mature enough to actually carry out those intentions, there is no potential, right? Anyway, let me see this person's deepest feelings and intentions at the deepest level. Ooh, too many of them. Yeah, see, Four of Pentacles. Closed off. They don't really know how to open up and express themselves. They don't know how. There's that Death card again. There's that past energy they're still not over again. They want a relationship. They do want a long-term, stable, committed relationship. They don't know how to open up. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to connect at that deep level. In their mind, they kind of live in that fantasy fairy tale land that a lot of people live in, where they want to just jump in head first to a relationship and live happily ever after. They don't really know how to connect with you. And when it all comes down to it, I think they're scared to connect with you. You know, that's a big problem in today's day and age. You know, they build this fantasy scenario in their mind of what love should be, you know, and it usually is something that they concocted when they were a little kid watching Disney movies and shit, you know. And they have this scenario played up in their mind, this make-believe scenario, and they think that it's just supposed to happen naturally and magically. And they, in the meantime, they don't know how. And not only do they not know how to open up and express their feelings, they're too scared to. They're too scared to even try. And usually it's because the last person that got close to their heart hurt them very badly. So they're too afraid to let anyone get close. But, you know, they want a relationship at the same time. But they're too scared to open up. Okay. All right, well, let's get the advice then. Well, see, here's the problem. That's an incredibly frustrating situation to find yourself in. You know, I remember what that was like. I've been in a situation like that. It's been years and years and years, but I remember how frustrating it was when you get with somebody who's very badly damaged, and you know they are, but you know that what you're bringing to the table is rock solid value. That, you know, if they could find the nerve to let their guard down and trust you, they could really seriously improve their life. And you're waiting, you're trying to be patient with them, and they're just too scared because they're damaged, and you're trying to be understanding, and you wait, but at the same time, tension's building up in there. Tension's building up. It's like, God damn, how long is it going to take you to see that I'm not going to do you like that, you know? And then the tension builds and builds, and the frustration builds and builds and builds and builds. And then it could turn ugly. I guess the question is, well, first of all, I was going to say, the question is, do you have the patience? But I already know that you've been being patient, haven't you? Most of you. I'm going to tell y'all what I'm about to say is just strictly statistics and numbers, right? Factual statistics and numbers from what I see through my personal readings. 8 out of 10 personal readings I do for the current love interest, the person has been dealing with the person for a minimum of 6 months. Minimum. That's the low end. Been strung along, breadcrumbed for 6 months. That's the low end, right? A lot of them, a year, year and a half, 2 years. One person the other day broke the record with 6 years. 6 years. So I already know that the majority of you have already been insanely patient with this person. Insanely patient. The problem is there is a soul contract waiting for you. You have to be in vibrational alignment to attract that person in. While you are stuck spinning in circles with something that obviously doesn't want to work out in your favor, it's creating an energetic blockage that's preventing that from coming in. Now, the reason why I'm saying it this way is because it's not as simple as me tell you to walk away from this person and then the next person's going to come in. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. You have to vibrationally align with this person. You won't reach vibrational alignment until you gain the understanding behind why you should walk away from what's not serving you. You have to gain that understanding. I can't just tell you. Right? If you just do it for no reason other than I told you to and you trust me, it won't work. That won't work. You have to understand. I deserve better than this. I know what I have to offer. I know what I bring to the table. I am no longer going to disrespect myself. I'm disrespecting myself by clinging to somebody that doesn't see my value, hoping and waiting and wishing for them to see my value one day. I'm disrespecting myself and I'm wasting valuable time. Have y'all happened to notice here lately how fucking fast time is flying by? Have you noticed that lately? Swear to God, you gonna jump down, turn around, fart and cough, you're gonna be getting your Christmas decorations out. It's flying by. We ain't got no time. I'll tell you why I'm so passionate about this. Because the things that I've seen in my career, I've seen some fucking heartbreaking shit, dude. Heartbreaking shit. And one thing that I see a lot of is people who wasted so much time on one person. It's too late. It's too fucking late. And I hate to use that phrase because nothing's ever technically too late. But the strength that it would take to climb up out of the hole that they dug themselves in and put themselves back together is strength that most people just don't have the gumption to grab onto. You know, I don't like seeing that. We don't have time to wait. All right? I'm not saying don't wait at all, but if you've already been waiting 6 months, 9 months, a year for this person to make up their mind, they don't want you. Just take it at that. If they really want you, you'll know. If they're not that into you, you'll be confused. Is that a blanket statement that covers every person in every situation? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. The point of it is, if I'm confused by your feelings and intentions, you're not the person the universe picked for me. That's the point. The universe did not pick me a divine life partner that's going to leave me confused about how they feel. All right, we're moving on. Now we're going to look and see how things are looking in the current long-term relationship. I clumped the long-term and short-term together in the last time. And when I do that, I have to be very general and dance around a lot of subjects, because whether your relationship has been long-term or short-term makes a big difference. So we're going to look specifically at the current long-term partner right now. All right. 9 of Pentacles. You feel like you're all alone? Feel like you're doing everything all alone? The World card. Damn, dog. World card, 8 of Cups. You know what that means? That is a soul contract that's come to a completion. And somebody's walking away from this. Damn, dog. Woo, drama, 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 drama. Holy shit. Some of you could potentially have kids with this person. Maybe for some of you, that's really the only thing holding you together. But even at that, I don't even think those of you who have kids with this person, I don't even think that's holding this together anymore. There's no way to ambiguate that card right there. Somebody's walking away from this. Somebody is. Okay, well, ain't nothing else I can say about that. Let's see how this person feels about you. What their energies and intentions are. How's the current long-term partner feel about Leo? They absolutely believe that they are the victim. 100%. And here's the important thing about this right here. And this is the part that people tend to overlook. When it comes to this I'm a victim energy, it doesn't matter if they are or not. With this energy, it's not going to work. Let's play devil's advocate for a second, and let's say they are the victim. Let's say you did something that fucked it all up. And you wake up one day and you really decide to go inside and change your ways. Well, if you do that and they're still holding on to this energy, it ain't going nowhere. It ain't going nowhere. So they're very much holding on to that energy. I feel like they are wondering whether or not the grass is greener on the other side somewhere. Is it them walking away from this? Good God, dude. First I thought that was you. I guess it could be you for some of you, but when I look at this person's energy and I get 6 of Swords, 5 of Pentacles, 7 of Cups, this looks like somebody that's ready to abandon and move on from this and explore other options. Holy shit, man. This don't look like somebody in love to me. Don't look like somebody in love to me. It looks like somebody's ready to find somebody new. Good God. They feel like this connection is more of a burden than a blessing. Honestly, too, I think this isn't random. This isn't random. And believe it or not, I see this fairly frequently come through in my personal readings where we were married for 5 years, 10 years, and then just one day, out of nowhere, he up and leaves. Randomly. You know what comes through 8 times out of 10? It wasn't random. It wasn't random. I feel like this person's been patiently waiting for the right opportunity. And at this point, they're either going to find the right opportunity or they're just going to make one. King and Queen of Swords. This looks like somebody who is completely emotionally detached from this whole situation. 2 of Swords reverse. Looks like they got their mind made up. God damn, dog. Let me clear the air here. Whew. I usually procrastinate when it comes to reading the current long-term relationship just because the energy that it pulls in. Pulls in years and years and years of struggles and heartache and trials and tribulations. Pulls that energy into my office. And it gets tough to read. Well, fucking A, man. Let's get the advice, I guess. God damn. Let's get the advice. What advice do we have for Leo with the current long-term partner? Oh, yeah, I forgot to do my little preface speech in the beginning. If you are not in a long-term relationship that is experiencing challenges, obstacles, and problems, this is not for you. If you have a happy, successful, thriving love life, I don't even know what the fuck you're doing here. I don't have anything to tell you. I am only here for one reason, and that is to help, teach, and guide people who are experiencing challenges, obstacles, and problems. There. Had to get that out of the way. All right, let's get the advice. Man, 6 of Swords. At the end of the day, if somebody wants to fucking move on, let them. I know that's a real hard thing to do. Real hard thing to do, but I don't know. I'm not saying you're doing this. I don't know if you're doing this or not, but I've never understood people in those relationships who have somebody who's trying to leave and you're grabbing on to them, you know, and trying to prevent them from leaving. Why do you want to be with somebody that don't want you? Not you. I'm just saying generally speaking, you know. Why would anyone want to be with somebody that doesn't want them? I can't wrap my fucking mind around that. You can't demand that somebody wants you. You mean to tell me you can lay your head on the pillow at night and sleep all night long, knowing that your partner wants to leave you and they're only staying because you won't let them leave? What? What the fuck? That makes no sense to me. Now, I'm not saying I don't understand not wanting somebody to leave. I understand that 100%. But if you want to walk out that door, even if it rips my fucking heart out, go then. Go then. If you really don't want to be here, then I don't want you here either. I would rather you leave and rip my heart out than stay in a relationship with somebody that doesn't even want me. You know? I can never comprehend that. Again, I'm not saying you're doing that. But this is telling me that if they want to go, let them go. This has nothing to do with if you love them, let them go. Right? It has nothing to do with that. When it comes to any type of connection or relationship, if they don't want to be there, you're disrespecting yourself by clinging to someone who doesn't even want to be there. Right? So, God damn, what the fuck are y'all dealing with, dude? The energy in my studio right now is so fucking thick you could swim through it. Woo, hooey, shooey, dooey, and looey. Yeah, and this just goes generally across the board in life. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your sign is. Don't care why you're watching this video. If there's one thing that you need to learn on the spiritual path, just one thing. It's really simple, but for some reason people struggle with this. Learn how to distinguish when the universe is telling you no. That's tricky. It's trickier than it sounds, right? Because sometimes I just need to work harder. Anything in this life that's worth having requires hard work and dedication. Well, how do I tell the difference between when I need to work harder on something and when the universe is telling me no? That's tricky. And that's very nuanced. And that is a very personal, idiosyncratic, private journey with the universe that only you can figure out for yourself. After a certain point, we have to be able to step back and say, all right, obviously the universe doesn't want this to happen. All right, universe, dude. All right. I don't know why you're doing this way. I can't even begin to wrap my tiny little human brain around why you're making this happen. But you know what? I'm trusting that you're doing it for a reason. That's hard to do when you're in the middle of something. But if you have the strength to hold on to that trust and that faith, the universe will always show you why it did that. Always. Always. All right. Let's move on out of that. Let's take one more look at the person from the past. Take one more look at the person from the past. Any details I left out? Have timelines changed? Past person. Uh-oh, Knight of Wands. Hang on a second, y'all. I'm going to turn my fan on real quick. Hold up. Kick that light off. There we go. All right. Knight of Wands. There might be a very brief reconnection between you and this person. And I say brief because, yep, I knew it. I feel like you're going to briefly reconnect with this person. It's hard to say how that's happening, though, because we have Ace of Swords, Page of Swords, both reversed. This person does keep a very close eye on you. So it could, usually when it doesn't tell me, it's because it's so different, I can't generalize it, depending on you and your situation. Some of you, maybe this person will reach out to you. Some of you, maybe you're reaching out to them. Maybe some of you are going to run into them at the club. Maybe some of you are going to bump carts with them at the grocery store. Maybe some of you are going to be at the, I don't know, the fucking festival in line to buy a corn dog, and you turn around and they're standing behind you in line. I don't know. But there's a very, very brief reconnection, and it doesn't look like a very pleasant experience. Honestly, I wouldn't be too freaked out about this. I don't think it's going to actually blow up into a big bunch of drama. But I do think somehow, some way, you're seeing just what you need to finally let go. More often than not, when the universe brings somebody from the past back into your life, that's usually the reason why it happens. I'd say probably 70% of the time. You're seeing what you need. You know, you're seeing things from a higher perspective. I know I use this analogy a lot, but it's like watching a movie for the first time since you were a little kid. And you know how you just understand, you didn't understand adult concepts back then? Even if you understood some things about the movie when you were 8 years old, and now that you're 38, you see a much broader perspective about things that were going on in that movie that you didn't understand back then. Similarly, you revisit someone from the past and you just see things from a higher perspective now. And it's like, you know what? I don't even want to hold on to this anymore. And you're finally able to let that go. Finally releasing this burden that's been weighing on you for who knows how long. Maybe you're just finally seeing them for who they really are. And finally accepting that that's who they really are. I'll give you a little example. This is just an example. I'm not saying this is what's happening. Get into a relationship with someone while they were in a relationship with someone else, right? First, it started off as a little affair while they were with that person. And then they finally left that person and got with you. And it started off great, seemingly. And then after 4 to 6 months, something started feeling off. Couldn't quite tell what it was, but I don't know if I'm seeing red flags or if you're starting to act funny, or maybe I'm just tripping. Maybe I'm just imagining this. I don't know. So it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Finally, what happens? They leave you for someone else, right? They do the same thing to you that they did to that person. And see, the whole time you were painting this picture in your mind that, oh no, once they see what I have to offer, oh, they wouldn't do that to me. I'm special. I'm special. They were cheating on that person because that person's a piece of shit. That person is just a low-life piece of scummy shit, you know, and you know, they see the value in me. So they would never do that to me. You know? You get where I'm going with this? And then one day you finally take a step back and you're like, you were just a cheating, lying sack of shit. And you bamboozled me. You fooled me. You conned me. I was an idiot. I really believed that I was special. I really believed that you were the poor, pitiful victim in this toxic relationship with this loser that treated you like shit, and that I was the one who was going to save you and show you what love really was, and you would actually appreciate that and never do that to me. That's what I believed. That was the little fantasy that I painted in my mind. And no, you were just a cheating, lying sack of shit. That's just who you are. And you fooled me. The little fantasy world that I built inside my mind was a complete and total illusion. And again, this is just a little imaginary scenario, you know. You could probably somehow apply that to something that you've experienced in life. Or hell, I guess maybe some of you could be dealing with that exact situation, maybe. But anyway, let's get the advice before I keep trailing off. What's the advice? Advice for Leo. Boop boopy doo, ba-doo doo. Knight of Wands again. So this goes back to what I was saying a minute ago. Most of the time. When I say most of the time, 70%, 60% at the least, on the low end. When the universe brings somebody back into your life, the spiritual purpose behind it is to show you what you need to see so that you can let it go. Now, when I read, I've never heard any other reader break it down like this. Of course, they probably don't, but I read from two perspectives, and I'm constantly juggling two different perspectives. The perspective from inside the game and the perspective from outside the game. And juggling these two perspectives can be very difficult sometimes because sometimes they can straight up seem to contradict each other, right? Inside the game is energies, feelings, intentions, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and all that shit. Outside the game means what was the plan? Why is this happening from a big spiritual perspective, right? So a lot of times those two things can seem to just straight up contradict each other, right? Like, for example, the universe brings somebody back into your life to show you why you need to let go, but their intentions are to get back with you. See how those two contradict each other? They have intentions of trying to get back with you and make it work, but that's not why the universe gave them those intentions. The universe gave them those intentions so they would come back and show you why you need to step away from this. You see how the lines can get blurred and how slippery that slope can get? That's why when it all comes down to it, your relationship with the universe is more important than anything else. So I'll tell you like I tell everybody else, repeat the cycle if you have to. Here's the way I look at it. I'm all about second chances, as long as it wasn't a deal breaker, okay? Everybody should have boundaries. Everybody should have deal breakers, okay? As long as they didn't commit a deal breaker, I'm all about second chances. It only takes one. It only takes one. Because there's two types of people when given a second chance at anything. At anything. There's one type of person who is greatly humbled. When given a second chance, they are greatly humbled. They realize that they're blessed with the privilege of a second chance to do it right this time. And they go inside and they say, you know what, I'm not going to fuck this up this time. Right? I'm not going to do it. I'm thankful for this second chance. I'm actually going to do it right this time. Then there's other people who say, oh, I know how to manipulate this situation now. Give you an example. There's two people, one person in California, one person in New York. They both get caught shoplifting, right? And this happens in two separate places. One person, well, no, they both get a slap on the wrist. Don't you do that again. Judge just lets them out of jail. They go, they give the judge a sob story. You know, oh, I was hungry. I didn't have no food. I hadn't eaten all day, and I just wanted something to eat. So the judge feels compassion and just slaps him on the wrist and says, don't do that again. One person says, God damn, man, I'm so blessed to get this second chance. I'm not stealing no more. I'm going to go out and get a job. I'll cut fucking yards, whatever I got to do, right? Because the universe gave me a second chance. The other person says, I know how to fucking manipulate the judge now. You think he's going to quit stealing? Abso-fucking-lutely not. Now, of those two situations, Which one happens most often when it comes to a relationship reconciliation? From what I've seen, it's not the former. The latter is what happens more often than not. That's why it only takes one. It only takes one time, giving somebody a second chance to see, are you being appreciative of this second chance? Are you really going to take advantage of this so we can do things differently? Or are you just going to take it as a sign of weakness? Is that going to embolden you to just do whatever you want because now you know how to manipulate me? They'll show you. That one time, they'll show you. They will show you. And if they do it again and you put your foot down, it better be the last time you put your foot down. Because see, now they think they can manipulate you. So you know you're going to have a battle on your hands. You know that they're not going to take you seriously. Oh, yeah. That's what you did last time. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to wait, and I'm going to do the same thing I did last time to get you to open the door again this time. All right? Careful with that. Every time you let somebody come back, you teach them how to manipulate you, and you embolden them a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more with the confidence that what they're going to do is going to work. So they're going to be more persistent each time. It's going to be harder to walk away from each time. All right? All right, y'all, I feel like those were the messages that my Leo family needed to hear. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Thanks again for tuning in and playing along. Don't forget, the information for personal readings is down here in the description. All right? I'm out of here now, y'all. I will see you sometime between now and the rest